What is going on, everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo. Welcome to the channel and welcome to a brand new episode of JJ's One Man Podcast. Again, I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these. There seems to be like a little bit much more gaps in between each episode, but today's going to be special. Today's going to be a fun episode. Nothing bad, nothing like too like downer. Granted, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world right now. However, today is a cool day because today we finally get to talk a little bit more about Kingdom Hearts. The entire series, really more going to be focused now on the first Kingdom Hearts game on PlayStation 2. The main reason being is because today, as of the time I'm recording this episode, Kingdom Hearts turns 18. This is the 18th birthday or the 18th anniversary of the Kingdom Hearts series, the very first Kingdom Hearts game to ever come out on PS2. And this is cool for me because I was looking on social media, I was searching around Twitter, and I saw that today was the actual anniversary, as somebody had pointed out, from one of these random gaming Twitter accounts that they usually share like anniversaries and stuff. And I was like, man, today is the 18th year that I've actually been with this series. I've been playing Kingdom Hearts since the very beginning for 18 years now. That is absolutely insane. I can only imagine what's going to feel like in about 2 more years when we hit the 20th anniversary. Oh my God, just thinking about it now is absolutely surreal. And for a lot of people, especially a lot of younger kids out there, this game or this series has been around for most of your childhood. I mean, 18 years, that's pretty insane. There were people born 18 years ago that are now turning 18 this year that have probably been like playing Kingdom Hearts at some point or some, area within their lives. Like, it's absolutely nuts. But what really stands out for me outside of the time that I've been playing this series is that I just still vividly remember just when the series came out, when the game was first being released back in 2002, and seeing the commercial for the very first time. I was sharing this on Twitter when I saw all this stuff, and I was like saying like, man, it's absolutely insane. Like, I've just, again, been sticking with this series for so long, but I still remember this commercial. This was it was specifically the US commercial. So if you guys want to see it and actually want to know exactly what I'm referring to, I'll probably include some footage here while, during the episode. Granted, there's going to be no sound other than me talking, but definitely look it up on YouTube. Maybe I'll put a link in the description box down below. But basically, this was the US commercial that came out in 2002 before the release of the game. I don't know exactly how long beforehand. It was like sometime, maybe a couple months prior to the game coming out, or maybe a month or two prior to the game coming out. But I remember seeing this commercial many times. And the very first time that I saw it, I was immediately enthralled by it. It was just insane. The main big factor to this was the song by Utada Hikaru, which is Simple and Clean. Everybody knows this song. Specifically, it's the remix, the Planet B version of Simple and Clean that was included in the commercial. And that was the song that hooked everybody into Kingdom Hearts. I don't care who you were, especially if you weren't especially if you were into Japanese role-playing games or just was a big Final Fantasy fan. Hell, if you were a Disney fan and you saw the imagery of this commercial and you immediately saw like Donald and Goofy, you saw Disney's Aladdin the Genie, you saw a whole bunch of stuff that you recognize, you're like, wait a second, what is this? Like, it immediately grabbed your attention. But for me personally, it was the music. It was specifically Utada Hikaru's song, and then paired that up with the imagery that you were seeing of the Disney characters, of the Final Fantasy characters. Some of these characters that I didn't even know who they were. It was the first time we were really seeing Sora, Riku, and Kairi. It just was so kind of gravitating. It just grabbed your attention. It just literally just latched onto you, and you could not turn away. And then after that, once I finally got the game in hand that same year, literally about a month, sometime right after I saw the commercial that same year and was able to play it, I immediately was hooked on it. I was immediately just in with this series. I loved it. I was a big fan of the first Kingdom Hearts. Granted, I've always said that my favorite in the series was always Kingdom Hearts 2 because I always felt that it upped the ante from the original Kingdom Hearts and changed up a bunch of things that I felt like could have been better about the first game. But the first game still has its charm. It's the same way that Star Wars fans feel about Star Wars A New Hope in comparison to The Empire Strikes Back. A lot of people say that The Empire Strikes Back is like the greatest Star Wars movie, if not one of the greatest movies ever made, but they still love that first Star Wars film from seeing, like, again, the Death Star trench run, learning about the Jedi for the first time, seeing Darth Vader for the first time. It's the same way, I believe, for Kingdom Hearts fans with the first Kingdom Hearts game and the second Kingdom Hearts game. But getting back to the first game, some of my favorite aspects of this game when I played it for the first time, outside of the music, because I already said that, the music in this game is utterly fantastic. There's so many good tracks, besides the Utada Hikaru song, which is the very first track you hear in the game when you first boot it up for a brand new game. It's not the first track you hear like when you first put on the game on the PlayStation 2. You hear Dearly Beloved, which I think, again, you can have a whole conversation about Dearly Beloved. But when you first hear that Planet B remix of Simple and Clean during the opening cutscene of Kingdom Hearts, you're just in. You're ready for this ride. And it could go into all sorts of weird territory after that, and you're just in with it. And that's exactly what happened to me, and that's exactly what happened for millions of people around the world, which is insane when you think about it. Again, 18 years ago, 18 years as of today. It's pretty nuts. Besides that, some of my favorite other aspects about Kingdom Hearts, the original game on PS2, I love the idea of the Keyblade. It was just such an original concept, and it felt so Disney, but it was like implemented in a much more kind of like edgier way compared to what we were used to seeing from Disney at the time. Remember, this was a blending of Kingdom Hearts and was it a blending of Final Fantasy and Disney? And really, there was a lot more Final Fantasy presence in this game than I would say in most of the other games. Granted, again, Kingdom Hearts 2 had a lot more Final Fantasy characters showing up and a lot more moments that focused specifically on them. But this was the first time you were seeing this type of stuff. And again, these types of characters interacting with each other. Seeing, Yuffie for the first time, seeing Aerith for the first time, rendered in a 3D with a voice. Also, same thing with Squall, which granted they changed his name to Leon, but he was still, again, this was the first time you were seeing that character interpreted in a way that gave him a voice. There was sound, and he just looked pretty good in comparison to the world around him. A lot of the characters, specifically the Final Fantasy characters, really got Disney-fied with their designs, but I don't think anybody, myself included, really mind at all, because it was just, again, it was so much fun being in this world. Everything was just worked together. You felt like you were jumping into a Disney cartoon that was a lot more mature. I think that's a good way of putting it. I don't think anybody's really thought about it that way. But when you really analyze what was happening with the first Kingdom Hearts game, that was really what was going on. It was just Disney, or at least, the people making it were taking the Disney characters or the Disney concepts, Disney ideas, and the look and the style of it, and making it a little bit much more mature for the Final Fantasy crowd, or the people that were into Final Fantasy or into those style of games, for Japanese role-playing games or just RPGs in general. A couple other aspects about the first Kingdom Hearts game that I really love. I love how the game, the first time around, back then I didn't think about this so much, but the first time when you have to go back to the worlds a second time and actually see like things have changed, there's stronger enemies, you have different scenarios in some of them, that was really cool to me. Because how it used to be back in the day for a lot of games was that once you were done with a certain section of it, a stage or a world or whatever, you were done with it. You never went back to it. You were always constantly going forward. Kingdom Hearts was really the first game I can remember. Granted, I played other Japanese role-playing games at the time where there was a sense of finality the first time you went to someplace, but then as you got deeper into it and big things happened in the story, all of a sudden you realize, oh, I have to go back here and there's all these other things that have changed that are different. Granted, we're still in the same area, but like there's radically some like big changes here that are significant to me that I should go check out. And to me, that was pretty awesome. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Let me know in the comments section down below if you think that is pretty dope or if that was like a thing. But that was at least how it was for me. This was a game that I binged a lot. So there was a whole bunch of time where I would just play for hours, just going through worlds. And then once you hit that point and you realize you got to go back, that was like, oh man, like there's so much more to this game that's going on. Now, couple of the crazy moments from Kingdom Hearts 1 that I think we all can relate to. I mean, the first time that you see Sora leave Destiny Islands when he's talking with Riku. Granted, we might get into a little bit of spoilers here, light spoilers. It's been 18 years, people. If you haven't played this game by now with all the re-releases that it has, there's something wrong with you. You're doing it wrong, B. Go play this game right now if you haven't already. But like I was saying, the first time that Sora leaves Destiny Islands at the very beginning of the game, like after I think it's like an hour or two into the game, like it's really not that long in hindsight. But the first time you leave and you actually go through that whole cutscene and the music kicks in with the Heartless showing up on Destiny Island and you first get the Keyblade, that was awesome. Like there was just some crazy stuff going on here. And once you first pick up the Keyblade, I remember my reaction was like, oh my God, what the hell is this? Like I seen it in the trailers and I seen it on the box and stuff, but like this is my weapon. And then all of a sudden now you could start beating up the Heartless. Because beforehand you had a wooden sword and you weren't doing any damage. And it was like, oh my God, like what's going on? But then when you finally could do that and then you have that cutscene with Riku right afterwards, it was pretty freaking awesome, man. It was absolutely insane. Another moment I could think of is the first time I saw Leon. The first time you run into him and you realize that you are not adequately prepared to deal with him and he just wrecks you up. Granted, don't get me wrong, people figured out like there's a way to beat him and you actually get items and stuff and experience for defeating Leon, but technically in that section, you're not supposed to beat him. But just the build up to that and the whole sequence of events with it, when you first meet the Final Fantasy characters, I thought that was really cool too, that was really awesome. And then later on in the game, as things start to really come to a head, after you've gone through a couple of worlds, when you've seen like what Alice in Wonderland, Disney's Aladdin, when you've seen all these other places, Monstro, again, a lot of different Disney areas that you visit. Then you finally get to Hollow Bastion. I feel like that's where the game takes another crazy turn with all the events that happen there. And again, I won't spoil it too much for people who haven't played it, but there's a lot of big stuff where all of a sudden things happen and then you have to go back to the other worlds, and then you progress even more forward after going and revisiting all of them, and then finally getting to much more of the crazier stuff in the late game. There was a lot of big moments in there, a lot of cool stuff. Some of the fights that you see even in the trailer, the very first US trailer that they actually show you glimpses of Riku, Dark Riku, etc., and some, Seeker of Darkness. The list goes on. A lot of cool moments in there, man. A lot of crazy, crazy stuff. But then, of course, we can't talk about Kingdom Hearts 1 without mentioning some of the hidden content, some of the bonus content. Now, keep in mind, I'm referring to the original release of Kingdom Hearts, not the international version, which was the final mix version, is what, for a long time, that was only in Japan. We didn't get that till much later until we got the Kingdom Hearts collection stuff, where we finally got to be able to play some of the bonus stuff, which included an extra fight, which what would eventually become Xemnas in Kingdom Hearts 2, because he was known as the mysterious figure. But the bonus content I'm talking about, all the extra boss fights that are like in random places, like you got Kurt Zizza in the Disney's Aladdin world in Agrabah. You got the I think it's some sort of like, Reaper. I don't remember its official name, but it's like a Reaper or like a mysterious figure that's right by the clock, the Big Ben clock in Neverland. And then, of course, also the Ice Titan fight in, was it the Hercules area, the Colosseum? And then finally, also the big one everybody remembers, myself included, because of all the times I got my butt whipped until I figured out how to really fight against him, Sephiroth in the Colosseum, which to me is still one of the best hidden boss fights in any video game. It's just such a cool surprise. It comes out of nowhere, and it wrecks you up unless you were adequately prepared. It makes you work for that victory. My only big problem with it in the original version of the game was that you didn't really get a lot of rewards for defeating him. I know I guess in a Final Mix and other versions of the game, you did get like certain stuff when you beat Sephiroth. But in the original game, I remember that once you beat him, I think that was it. I don't think you even got anything, like any sort of item or like little like check mark or anything whatsoever. I know I think it's with the cup right before that against the Ice Titan, you're supposed to get something as well. But with Sephiroth, you don't get anything. But it was still a cool boss fight. And keep in mind, that same boss fight, once you defeat him, you also get that extra cutscene that you didn't get in the original version. You got that in the Final Mix, which is just a conversation without really any sound between Sephiroth and Cloud, which was cool to see them interacting with each other, but there was no voice acting. So anyway, a couple other final thoughts about Kingdom Hearts 1. Again, a little in celebration of the 18th birthday of the release, or the beginning of the series, I should say. Just Kingdom Hearts 1 is still a game that I feel like still holds up. Granted, it has its issues, specifically with the platforming. A lot of the different jumps that you get in the places like, the Tarzan world, the whole jungle area, and a couple other areas where you have to jump around as Sora and in order to reach like certain chests and certain like key things, like the Trinity little spots, little markers on the ground, or certain areas like on the walls, or even just getting like specific key items for synthesis for the ultimate Keyblade or anything else. That was a little bit of a problem. That was really annoying. And the same thing also with the white mushrooms. The white mushrooms I felt were very annoying because you had to do them at some point in order to get the synthesis items for some of the stronger things you can make in Traverse Town. But anyway, those are just my overall thoughts, my overall just opinions and random kind of like little details about the first Kingdom Hearts. I love it. I still think it's a fun game. Like I said, it's aged, pretty gracefully, despite my little criticisms here and there. 18 years, man. Absolutely insane. I can't believe it's been 18 years since I've started playing this series. But let me know how you feel about it after all this time has passed down below in the comment section. Tell me some of your favorite things about the first Kingdom Hearts, some of the things you like about the first you dislike about the first Kingdom Hearts, I should say. My bad. You dislike about the first Kingdom Hearts. Tell me about that stuff down below. Also, mention to me your favorite characters out of the first game, because everybody has their favorite characters. Everybody says like they love Sora, they love Riku. Riku's probably my favorite out of everybody in the entire cast. They love Kairi, etc. Donald the Goofy, Donald the man who doesn't heal you when you're doing bad. That's the joke in the Kingdom Hearts community, that Donald never like pretty much heals you. But anyway, besides that, talk to me about that stuff down below in the comment section. I'll be back again sometime soon with another episode of JJ's One Man Podcast, tackling something a little bit different, but I figured since this was a special occasion, why not throw out a fun episode, talk a little bit about Kingdom Hearts, and keep the conversation going. So, happy birthday, Kingdom Hearts. Thanks so much, Square Enix, for giving us an awesome game back in the day, or Squaresoft, I should say, from back in the day, but Square Enix, thank you for giving us an awesome franchise that's still going after 18 years. Here's hoping for some more cool stuff and some other interesting things down the line. But anyway, I will talk to you guys again very soon. Peace out, and stay epic, everybody.